It's not easy. I try to be strong for everybody, but I still don't know exactly when my child died.
This is a story about unsolved crimes and a family's quest for justice.
This is The Breakdown from Inside Edition Digital. We're sharing the story behind the story.
My name is Caitlin Nolan, and I'm the managing editor of Inside Edition Digital.
We begin with breaking news.
A woman's body was found inside the abandoned home.
A second body was found a few hundred feet away in a trash can.
Neighbors are starting to think the worst after a third body was found over the weekend.
They were murdered.
Someone had cut her hair.
We have no death certificate, no cause of death.
We should know something by now.
Does anybody care? Does anybody give a damn?
We sit here every day wondering, how'd she die?
In 2018, I was a senior reporter for the team, and on a normal day in the office, I came across a story about the death of a woman who several weeks prior had spoken on camera about two other women who had died in the same area. There hadn't been much national coverage about the cases. There was very little in the way of information, and so my editors and I decided that this was something that we should look into. In 2017, the bodies of three women were found within a 4-block radius, two on the same day, and the third 6 weeks later, in an area called Lumberton in North Carolina. The first two women whose bodies were found were named Christina Bennett, she also went by Kristen, and Rhonda Jones. Christina's body was found inside a home, inside a cabinet, and Rhonda's body was found outside the home in a trash can. Megan Oxendine spoke on camera to a local news reporter about Rhonda, about how she knew Rhonda and that she was a nice woman. She never really messed with anyone. She didn't understand how someone could do this to a person. And 6 weeks later, Megan's body was found. She was found several blocks away underneath a tree by another abandoned home. It was decided that in 2018, it was about a year after the deaths had occurred, that I was going to go down to Lumberton to interview the families in person and see the place where this all occurred. The families were really gracious and grateful that we wanted to tell their loved ones' stories. They welcomed us in with open arms. They extended every single courtesy that they could, and really showed such a strength to be able to sit there for basically an entire day and talk through what their loved ones had gone through and what they went through when they learned that they had been killed and what's happened since. I spent a day with each of the families that agreed to speak with me, and also attended a vigil that was held around the year anniversary mark of the initial discoveries of Rhonda and Christina. The vigil was attended by local residents as well as the family members of those who had been lost. And it was both to mark the very grim anniversary, but to also celebrate their lives.
Oh, you gonna let them go? Let them go.
At this time, I want to say again, thank you to everybody who came. We appreciate this a lot.
I wanted to share with you some more from our initial report in Lumberton in 2018.
You just don't know what to believe. The police or anybody hasn't come to us and cleared any of it up to make it any better for us,
It really amazes me that the FBI has now stepped in offering this $30,000 reward. I think it's an awesome thing, but they just would not talk to you. They wouldn't give any information out, and just even the basic who, what, where, when, and whys.
We don't have an autopsy report.
We have no death certificate, no cause of death. We will probably never know exactly when my child even died. We do not even have a police report. It's been a year.
The public knows as much as we do. The fact that we sit here every day wondering, how'd she die? When did she die? Who did it, of course, is important, but to us, knowing what she might have went through is really important to us. Rhonda would not, in any kind of way, have ever even touched that trash can. Never mind put herself in that trash can. One of the things we wondered, did she hurt? Whoever did they hurt her? Because that would be the hardest thing if they hurt her, Somebody knows what happened to Rhonda. and when it happened and how it happened. That's what we are praying for, that somebody just comes forward.
To this day, the cases remain unsolved. There has been no arrests made in the cases. They actually have still only been deemed as suspicious, not criminal. And though the FBI is involved, though the FBI has interviewed hundreds of people at this point, there have never been any suspects identified or persons of interest formally identified in the case, which is a huge source of stress and, frankly, pain for the families of the three women. So recently, I had a chance to catch up with Rhonda's family, with her sister and her mother, to see how they've been doing since we had last spoken, as well as what's been going on in Lumberton since we last visited. We first spoke a year after Rhonda's death, and now we're 4 years on from her passing. What do you want people to know has continued, persisted in the last 4 years, and what has changed in the last 4 years?
The fact that, we feel like she's basically forgotten, like they don't care. No family should have to go through this. It's bad enough to lose somebody you love, but no family should have to go through feeling like their family member has just been pushed off to the side. The folder's been closed. The case is just, it's over. It feels like, it feels like nobody cares.
I guess my main word would be frustrated, disappointed.
Yeah, that's about the point I'm at. Frustrated, just when it comes to that whole situation, mentally drained.
For people who maybe haven't been following the story since it was last published on our site and the case, why are you frustrated and why are you drained?
Because Sunday's going to be 4 years. I still don't know exactly when my child died. I don't know where she died. All I know, my child was found in a city trash can upside down naked on April the 18th of 2017. That's all I know.
We've asked multiple questions many, many times and don't get much of a response.
Can you talk a bit about what you've been doing, not only to try and get justice for Rhonda, but also for the many other people who have gone missing or have been found dead in Lumberton and Robeson County?
Well, we started a group called Share the Silence, and we do marches for all the murdered and missing. We try to visit some of them. We have tried to fight for justice with everything we've got. Me and Sherlin's went above and beyond, even not only trying to help with Rhonda's murder, but trying to help with all the murdered and missing.
And we hope with this group that people will, see what we're doing and start talking. It brings awareness to how many people are going through the same thing we are. And we want people to understand that we understand what they're going through. And we want the same thing they want.
Prior to Rhonda's death, had you been involved at all in this kind of advocacy work?
No.
No, because me personally, I never knew how bad this hurt.
Right. I had no idea. I mean, you don't think about how many other families are dealing with this, in the same situation we are until it happens to your family. You don't realize the severity of it.
It must be so difficult to both carry the weight of mourning Rhonda while also trying to fight for all of these other families and deal with questions like that. How do you do it, and how have you been doing it for years at this point?
The grace of God. That's exactly what it is. The grace of God. That's the only thing that keeps us going.
It's not easy.
Not at all.
There's days when I just have to take a break.
These families are always on my mind, like when I'm looking at stuff about Rhonda, I think about, so-and-so's dealing with this, or, so-and-so's, posted a picture of their child today, things like that. Like it's like a part of our everyday life now.
And Miss Caitlin, I had asked somebody the other day, I said, Do you think Rhonda's proud of me? And they said, well, yes, Miss Sheila, I've never seen a mother fight like you. And it's not that I want to fight this fight, that's for sure.
So this year, on the anniversary of the discovery of Rhonda's body, as well as Christina's body, there was another vigil held at the same park that we went to several years ago to mark the anniversary yet again. And again, it's the repetition of having to talk about the hardest time in their lives and what's gone on since, all to continue to try and bring some attention and some spotlight onto these cases in the effort that someone somewhere who knows something will finally come forward and say, here's some information that might help solve the cases. I can't imagine how much strength it takes to continue to revisit the most difficult, painful time in a person's life, losing a loved one, especially to violence. And yet Sheila and Sherlyn continue to do so in the effort to bring awareness to their daughter and their sister's case, as well as the cases of so many other people who have either gone missing or have fallen victim to violence in Robeson County.
I want people to know that Rhonda was a mother. She was a daughter. She was my best friend, my sister, the one that I called on when I needed something, you know. Rhonda was a college graduate. Rhonda had a high education. Rhonda was so much more than what people thought she was. It sucks. You know, it's hard just to think about everything that she was, that somebody didn't care enough to think, you know, who she was. They just took all that from us, you know, in a matter of seconds. It has changed our whole life. I was just talking to my son earlier, Caitlin. I know this completely off what we're talking about, but we got to talking about perfume. And I told him, I said, one thing I miss about Rhonda is how she smelled. That's something I can't get over. I can't smell her. And I was looking, and we found a perfume that she used to wear all the time on Amazon. I'm gonna order some, just so, you know, I can be able to smell it and remember, because I don't want to ever forget that.
So the FBI has increased its reward for information in the deaths of Christina, Rhonda, and Megan from $30,000 to $40,000 this year. When I spoke with a special agent at the FBI, they said that people in the area should think back to 4 years ago. Did someone you know begin acting differently? Is it possible that they maybe changed their normal habits? Maybe they mentioned something that just wasn't taken seriously at the time. Think back to it. And if there's anything that stands out to you, to reach out to the FBI's Charlotte field office with that information, because no tip is too small. Awareness of these cases and the potential for a break in them is impossible without people watching stories like this and sharing these stories. So thank you very much for considering the cases and giving them the attention that they deserve.
This is Inside Edition Digital.